Taxes are not fun for anyone. Maybe for me they are, but for the average person, taxes are not what you want to do. And when you're staring at a tax bill that you cannot pay, you may go into a full-on panic. That is why in this video, I am going to break down exactly what you need to do if you find yourself owing taxes that you cannot pay. But before we jump in, I want you to like, comment, and subscribe so we don't miss out on any of this life-saving information. So let's get after it. If you prepare your taxes and cannot pay your taxes, make sure you go ahead and file your taxes anyway. So many of you will not file because you have a balance due. It is important to go ahead and file because you do not want to pay failure to file penalties. So on top of failure to pay penalties, you're gonna have failure to file penalties. So you wanna definitely avoid that by filing your tax return on time, especially if you owe. Do not file an extension. File by the deadline date. When you owe taxes, you can set up an installment agreement, especially if this is your very first time owing. If you owe less than $50,000, IRS will typically allow you to set up an installment agreement where you can pay that installment agreement over a 36-month period or over a 60-month period. When you set up that installment agreement, yes, you're gonna pay penalties and interest. However, you are going to be in compliance, meaning that IRS knows you're in what's called voluntary compliance, where you're volunteering to pay your taxes. This may be less than what it would be if you were to put your tax bill on a credit card. So realize you can set up an installment agreement to pay your taxes off over time. If you end up with a tax bill that you know you cannot pay off anytime soon, and it's gonna take you longer than a 5-year time period to pay it off, and you're just not in a good financial position, you may wanna consider an offer in compromise. An offer in compromise is where you negotiate with the government to pay a lesser amount than what you owe. And it's really saying to IRS and even some state revenue departments, I'm willing to pay you X if you can compromise on the tax. And it's based on a formula. So don't think you're gonna be negotiating with them like you're at a swap meet or someplace saying, oh, $3, $4. No, it is based on a formula determines how much you're gonna have to pay them. And when you do an offer in compromise can be filed 3 ways. One is doubt as to liability, meaning I don't even believe I owe all of this money, but I'm willing to offer you a compromise, IRS. Or doubt as to collectability. I don't even believe you're gonna be able to collect this money because I just don't have it and I'm gonna be paying it for the next 20 years. Or what we call ETA. Effective tax administration, where there's just some reason why you should not have to pay back all of that tax. Either way, an offer in compromise may be a great solution for you. Additionally, if you owe IRS, you may want to look for outside financing. If you can secure a loan that is going to be less than the interest and penalties IRS is going to charge you, then that is always going to be your better bet because the cost of money is very, very important. And if you pay with third-party funds, you are then in compliance with IRS. You filed your taxes, you paid what you owe, so you don't have to worry about anything as it pertains to them. You only have to worry about paying back the money you borrow. Check for missed deductions and tax credits when you find yourself owing IRS. Many times you can amend your tax return if there is something that you miss. But make certain that if you're gonna file an amended return to generate more tax back to you, or to reduce the tax that you owe, you want to make sure you can document and justify the reason you are amending that tax return. If it's a legitimate reason because you missed out on a deduction, perhaps you missed out on an earned income credit, perhaps you missed out on an energy credit, you want to go ahead and amend that tax return because that's a legitimate reason to be able to lower your tax bill. Don't be afraid of amendments, because if you owe IRS additional money, they are not going to be afraid to come after you. So make sure you look for additional credits, additional deductions, and amend the return if it's already filed. If it has not been filed yet, adjust the return to take advantage of legitimate credits and legitimate deductions. At the end of the day, when you owe tax, it can be unsettling, but there are a lot of solutions out there for you. What you don't want to do is stick your head in the sand and do nothing, because eventually IRS is going to come knocking. Therefore, use your tools, do an installment agreement, an offer in compromise, amend a tax return looking for more deductions and more credits, or even hire a professional that may be able to help you out. Now that you know better, I want you to go do better. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of this great information. Now go get after it.